a ghostly battle with ghostly soldiers of ghostly armies still fight close to Delhi. And these sounds of battle, clash of armor and swords and shouts continue to be heard. I am Professor Horror. I traveled a lot in the East where stories of ghosts and supernatural existence is commonly found and talked about. And I learnt about the actual historic facts that changed India when the Muslim armies of the Mughal forces invaded India way back, over 500 years back. That was when Babur came with his armies to establish his own empire in India after subjugating many of the small Hindu kingdoms one after the other. But his dreams would have been shattered if the Rajput armies had won on the battleground of Khanwa. There was a battle there, a very famous battle fought between Rana Sanga and the Mughal forces of Babur. Babur's victory firmly established him on the throne of Delhi as the first Mughal emperor. Thousands of Rajputs were killed in this battle, and they still roam about in this area as unhappy ghosts, unhappy at having lost to the invaders. For 300 years and more, people who resided in this area have been seeing the ghostly armies of the Rajputs and Mughals fighting away as though the fierce battle was still on. It may have been the year 1936, and it was a humid day in March, and people returning from the Dare Mosque heard the clash of swords and the sounds of people fighting. A lot of noise. It looked like hell had broken loose suddenly. But there was no one about. People were dumbfounded for a long time, trying to understand what was happening. Where was the clash of swords and armor coming from? An elderly 114-year-old villager called Sardar Ali said this to the newspaper correspondents. He had lived in the Khanwa village in Rajputana, in the Ruppas area. This village went back 1100 years, founded by Khan Muhammad Pathan. The Pathans would come from the northwest frontier province of India. At present, it only lies in historical ruins, but a lot of folk stories circulate. Tourists come by the hundreds to this village because it was in the vast fields of this village that the Rajputs challenged the might of the invading Mughals. According to Sardar Ali, many of his ancestors have heard the warfare over many nights in these plains. Some have seen the armies engaged in battle afar in the fields. His old relations tell him that during childhood, the souls of both Rajput and Mughal soldiers wandered about on the plains aimlessly after having died in that epic battle. History has recorded that on the 16th March 1527, and I can tell you it was a Saturday, the armies of the Rajputs under Rana Sang and the armies of Zahiruddin Babur, who was to be the first Mughal emperor of India, they fought, and the battle went to and fro as each tried to be supreme. Prior to this, Babur had inflicted a crushing defeat on the forces of Ibrahim Lodi in 1526 on the battlefield of Panipat, which is read about in the history books of students even today. But at the Battle of Khanwa, the forces of Babur were ranged in rows at the back of the hills on the western side, and deep trenches were dug in this area, so the enemy would not surprise them by an attack. Cannons were placed in the front behind bullock carts tied together, At 9 in the morning, on the 16th of March, Rana Sangh's forces launched their attack. The battle lasted no less than 10 hours. And in this period, the army of Rana Sangha was decimated by the bombardment from the cannons. Rana Sangha was grievously injured and died from his wounds at the age of 46. And the villagers of Khanwa and the public in Rajasthan believe that the defeated Rajput warriors still search for their enemy in these areas to this day, which is why the tourists come to hear and perhaps see for themselves. Many stories go around in Rajasthan about the martyrs' caravan, the martyrs who gave up their lives to save Rajputana and the rest of India from the marauding, invading Mughals who were to establish an empire and rule India for hundreds of years. This martyrs' caravan of Rajput fighters of Khanwa still wanders in this battleground of Khanwa holding burning torches. Why do they roam around looking with torches, and who are they searching for? All I can tell you, that is real history, and those are real ghostly battles with ghostly soldiers of the Rajputs and of the conquering Mughals of Emperor Babur. I'll have more real ghost stories for you in my next. I'm sure you want to hear them. And if you do, I guess you'll have to press down on the subscribe button there somewhere. This is Professor Horror, leaving the battlefield of Khanwa, going to a safer place.